What if I told you that the one thing always searching for is actually the reason you fail? I'm talking about motivation. That incredible electric feeling when you start something new, the rush of a brilliant idea. You feel unstoppable. You tell yourself, this time is different. But what happens a week later when the work gets boring and the excitement fades? That powerful motivation vanishes, and you're left with another half-finished project, feeling like a failure. You're not lazy, you're not broken, you've simply been relying on the wrong fuel. In the next few minutes, I'll share a powerful story about a young watchmaker and an ancient, seemingly impossible clock. Hidden within this tale lies a force more dependable than motivation, quiet strength that never fades and ensures you, finish what you start. The lesson this watchmaker learned might be exactly what you've been searching for all along. Leo inherited a small, dust-covered workshop from his father, once renowned as the finest watchmaker in the country. The shop whispered with the gentle rhythm of dozens of timepieces, surrounded by delicate tools and magnifying glasses. Leo possessed remarkable talent. He understood intuitively how the tiny mechanisms worked in perfect harmony to measure time. But patience wasn't his virtue. The everyday tasks of the shop, cleaning an elderly woman's cherished timepiece or replacing a simple battery, felt beneath his abilities. In his heart, Leo was an inventor. His sketchbook overflowed with designs for extraordinary timepieces, never before imagined clocks with orbiting planets and figurines that would dance when the hour struck. These visions consumed him, fueling marathon creative sessions. But whenever he encountered a challenging obstacle or a component he couldn't quite solve, his enthusiasm evaporated. Frustration would take hold and he'd abandon the project, already dreaming of his next brilliant concept. This pattern was destroying his livelihood. So captivated by chasing the next flash of genius, he neglected the essential work that sustained the business. Dust gathered on the counters, and his father's loyal customers gradually disappeared. The silence in the shop grew heavier than the ticking of the remaining clocks. One morning, the bell above the door announced a visitor. An elderly gentleman who carefully placed a magnificent grandfather clock on the counter. Crafted from rich, polished wood with intricate brass engravings, it stood silent but commanding. "This was my father's," the old man explained softly. "It hasn't worked in 50 years. I've taken it to a dozen watchmakers, but they all declared it beyond repair. They said only your father could have restored it." His eyes studied Leo intently. "They say you inherited his gift. If you can make it work again, I'll pay enough to save your shop." A surge of excitement coursed through Leo. This wasn't some mundane repair. This was a legendary challenge that had defeated everyone else. Here was his chance to prove his genius. "I'll do it," Leo declared confidently, his mind already racing with possibilities. For several days, Leo was consumed by the clock. He worked with passionate intensity, meticulously disassembling the complex mechanism piece by tiny piece. The challenge thrilled him. Then reality set in. The clock contained over 1,000 individual components. Finding the problem meant each one had to be cleaned, examined, and measured with painstaking precision. The work became slow, tedious, mind-numbingly boring. After a week of this methodical labor, Leo's motivation had completely vanished. Staring at the thousands of tiny pieces spread across his workbench, he felt nothing but mounting frustration. His thoughts drifted back to his exciting new designs. "This is wasting my time," he thought bitterly. "I could be creating something brilliant instead." One afternoon, in a moment of anger, he accidentally knocked a tray of minuscule screws onto the floor. As he knelt to retrieve them, despair washed over him. He felt like a failure. He decided to call the old man in the morning and admit defeat. The clock was beyond repair. That night, unable to sleep and ready to abandon the business entirely, Leo began clearing out his father's old desk. In a hidden drawer, he discovered a collection of small leather-bound journals, his father's work logs. He opened the first one, unsure what he was seeking. He expected to find passionate writings about genius and the artistry of watchmaking. Instead, the pages contained simple, humble entries. Tuesday, cleaned the escapement wheel of Mrs. Gable's pocket watch. Took 3 hours. The third gear was worn, must replace. Thursday, a young boy brought in his father's old watch. It's not worth much financially, but it meant everything to him. spent the afternoon fixing it without charge. The joy on his face was payment enough. Wednesday, devoted the entire day to the mainspring of the town hall clock. My back aches. Still not right. Failed today. We'll try again tomorrow. Page after page followed the same pattern and honest record of the work. The slow, often boring, frequently difficult work. At the end of the first journal, his father had written a single paragraph. A man who works only when inspired will be a man of many beginnings and no endings. The great clock does not tick because it feels inspired. It ticks because it is built correctly, follows its rule, second after second. The work of a craftsman must be the same. You do not show up because you feel good. You show up and, in doing the work, you might have fortunate begin to feel good. The word struck Leo like a physical blow. He had misunderstood everything about his work. His father wasn't a genius because of constant inspiration. He was a genius because he always showed up. He possessed the discipline to perform the mundane work day after day. That was his true secret. The next morning, Leo entered his shop, a changed man. He didn't wait for excitement to find him. He didn't glance at his sketches, walked directly to the 1,000 pieces of the grandfather clock, and picked up a single tiny gear. He established a new rule. He would work on the clock for 4 hours every morning. No exceptions, even when boring, even when frustrating. He would simply show up and do the work. The first days were excruciating. His mind screamed for him to stop, to do something more stimulating. One morning, he spent the entire 4 hours attempting to clean a single stubborn component, making virtually no visible progress. The old Leo would have quit in a rage. The new Leo calmly set his tools down when the time was up and said quietly, "I'll try again tomorrow." Gradually, something began to shift. As he worked, he discovered a different kind of satisfaction, not the explosive thrill of a new idea, but a quiet pride in work well done. He began to appreciate the beauty in small details, the perfect meshing of 2 gears, the gleam of freshly polished brass. He wasn't merely repairing a clock anymore. He was learning his father's true craft, was building his character. After 3 weeks of steady, disciplined effort, he found that a single tooth on a tiny gear deep within the clock was bent. The flaw was so minute, so insignificant that it was nearly invisible. It was something only discoverable through the patience to examine every single piece. With surgeon-like precision, he repaired the tooth. Then methodically, he reassembled the 1,000 components. Finally, the moment arrived. He hung the pendulum, gave it a gentle push, and stepped back. For a heartbeat, silence hung in the air, then magic happened. The clock began to tick. The sound was the most beautiful thing Leo had ever heard. It was the sound of a promise kept, the sound of discipline, the sound of work done well. When the old man returned the next day, Leo simply gestured toward the corner where the grandfather clock stood, its pendulum swinging in perfect, steady rhythm. The old man approached it, eyes widening. He closed his eyes, just listening to the sound for a full minute. "My father wound this clock every Sunday morning," he said softly, a tear tracing down his cheek. "I haven't heard this sound since I was a boy. You haven't just fixed a clock, you've returned a piece of my life to me." In that moment, Leo understood the work wasn't about his genius. It was about service. About preserving something meaningful to another person. About the steady, honest effort that keeps the world turning. Leo had fixed the clock and saved his shop. But more importantly, he had fixed himself. He had learned the most crucial lesson any craftsman can discover. So what can we learn from Leo's journey? First, motivation is merely the spark that starts the engine. Discipline is what drives the car forward on the long journey. You need that initial spark to begin, but without a powerful engine, you won't travel far. A car that's all spark and no engine just sits in the driveway, making exciting noises, but going nowhere. Second, learn to love the process, not just the outcome. The true reward isn't completing the project. It's becoming the kind of person capable of finishing. The pride from doing difficult, sometimes tedious work runs deeper and lasts longer than the fleeting excitement of a new idea. Finally, show up especially when you don't feel like it. When you're exhausted, when you're bored, that's when it matters most. Don't worry about the entire staircase. Focus on taking just the next step. Clean 1 gear. Write 1 sentence. Make 1 call. This is how truly great things are built. Not by lightning strikes of inspiration, but by the steady, quiet, unstoppable power of showing up day after day after day. As Leo's reputation grew, a mysterious stranger appeared at his door one evening with an unusual request and a black velvet pouch filled with gold coins. The stranger needed a special timepiece-built one that could do more than just tell time. Much more. "I've heard you can fix the impossible," the stranger whispered, sliding a folded paper across the counter. "But can you create it?" Leo unfolded the paper to reveal designs unlike anything he'd ever seen. This wasn't just a clock. It was something that could change everything for better or worse. The old Leo would have jumped at the challenge without question, but the new Leo sensed something dangerous in these plans. Yet the stranger's offer would set him up for life. What would Leo choose? And what secrets did these mysterious designs hold?